that I am an MC for at a meetup. So 138 is, in Chinese numerology, 138 can be seen as a auspicious number translating to wealth for the entire life. If anyone speaks Chinese here, we can confirm and deny that. So then 138 Tolosa is a main belt asteroid discovered in 1874. And most importantly, the Tatra 138 is a heavy-duty truck produced in Czechoslovakia. That's it. Now we are actually ready to begin. Yes, so is anyone here for the first time? Raise your hands. One. Just one person here. You guys are here for the first time. I've never seen you here before. Well, for you, not, yeah, okay, you're fine. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna cut the intro short. You know about us, if you're not here for the first time, and if you are, we are a community of people dedicated. It's Warsaw JS, Warsaw, which JS stands for JavaScript, obviously, and it's all about sharing the knowledge, not just about JavaScript, any programming language, but not just the programming language. It's literally everything, right? We talk about soft skills, how to become better engineers, better human beings, stuff like that. We have more stuff than just the meetups. We have a conference that runs once in a while. We got workshops. In our blog, you can, if you're interested in partnering, you can send us a link, and we just do like a little mention on our blog, and then with a canonical link to your blog post. So benefits everyone. We do mentoring, photo sessions if you're interested, and there's a Warsaw JS Vibe Jam. I don't know if, do we still do that? Okay, so just disregard this point, it's no longer valid. And most importantly, Discord. If you're interested, scan the QR code, join our Discord. We talk about stuff. Sometimes we have job offers there and stuff like that. Most importantly, of course, I'm obliged to tell that please follow the Berlin Code of Conduct. If you don't know what it is, just don't be a bad person. That's the code of conduct. Like, let's just be nice to everyone, regardless where we come from, what languages we speak. We want to welcome everyone, right? And this is me. I'm the MC, and our amazing team, Piotr and Alexander. Let's give them a short round of applause for making this happen. It's one of the tougher meetups. We are crunching and sweating bricks, but we did it at the end of the day. And thanks to also these amazing people, Martina, Krzyszek, Gosia, and Krzysztof, and also, keep clapping. Agnieszka and Piotr. Yes, so thanks to, and yeah, if you want to join our small team, I invite you to either send us an email or scan this QR code to join the Discord, and then you know the drill. It's fun. It's a fun community project that is not paid, unfortunately, but we will get there eventually. You do not pay. You don't have to pay for being a volunteer. That's nice. At least some things in this world you don't have to pay for. And most importantly, if you want to be on stage, scan the QR code and send us a proposal. It's fun. You get to share your perspective on this world, whatever it is, professional or personal, maybe, who knows. Anyway, and most importantly, thanks to our sponsors, all of this could happen. You can start clapping. Yes, there's Stripe, Nord Security, Xfang, and On the Spot. And most importantly, we thank our host cluster for helping us, housing us today, helping for all this to happen. Another final round of applause. Yeah. Yes, thank you. And I think I might want to invite Piotr to stand in for the owner of cluster today.
Yeah, sure.
So you wanna tell us something about the cluster?
Just quickly, we are here with Xfang, with Alexandra. We have an office here. We work from here, and we are very happy with that since 2 years. So, well, if you're looking for an office, we recommend.
Oh, okay. Yes. Right. And I would like to invite Dmitry from On the Spot. So, yeah, please.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah. I'm the only the first time here, so that's okay. Don't pressure me. Basically, I'm recruiter from On the Spot. We building R&D teams from scratch. Mostly we're working with the startups, Israel, USA, and a lot of stuff. So if you wanted to join us, you can do this because we have a lot of stuff. Right now, we have one very interesting security product because we a lot of working with the security products, and this one it is about the emails. It sounds silly, but still it's one of the main problem of the most companies, and we have some researches and know the numbers, and this is like, yeah, for me it's very silly, but the guys know what they do, and we building team right now. So we have the one front-end engineer, we need second one, but I think we will need more people, because not only here we have the position like related to GS code. So we have a bunch of the front-end team leads, so full stack engineers. If you wanted to join us, yeah, you can scan the QR code and and join our website, because we have a lot of jobs opportunities for everybody, not only for the GS code too. So yeah, but basically that's it from my side. I know that a lot of speakers will be in with interesting topics, so take a look at them. This will be interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And after the chain, we go. Do we have someone from Shroom? I think we do. We do, right? We do have a person from Shroom. Ava, is she here? Aga?
I will try to find her.
Okay. In the meantime, cut it to our friends from Rebellion. So Elias, please come on stage and just a quick few words.
Hey everyone, glad to see you all today. I swear I will be quick. I'm Elias, I'm representing Rebellion today. We're proud partner of Warsaw JS once again. And today, I mean, we're streaming the event. Big shout out to my team, Tomek and Ola. Without you guys, won't be possible. To make it very quick, so Rebellion is a French-Polish company created 13 years ago in Paris, now operating from Warsaw and Tashkent. We are a generalistic IT company. We provide expertise in large-scale digital transformation. These are our services. Today, I would just like to emphasize the fourth one. We just opened recently a delivery center in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. We provide team extension as a pretty cost-effective rate. So if you're looking to scale your product or your company, that's a pretty good opportunity. Also, we have today a lot of open position. Will be mostly backend, but we also have like some full stack and front end position. So if you're looking to for a new opportunity, for a new adventure, please scan the QR code. You will be able to find every position, and we're looking forward to have you in our company. Last but not least, we are also strategic partner of the French Tech Connect Poland 2026 by French Tech Warsaw and French Tech Krakow. This event will take place at CIC Warsaw during the Venture Cafe on May 21st at 5:30. It's an open event for everyone, so guys, feel free to join. You can scan this QR code as well and register. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And finally, we have our dear guest from Shroom. So please come up on stage and tell us a little bit about Shrooms, I suppose.
Yeah. Hi, thank you. Sorry, guys, I was just in the office. I didn't know this is my time now. Yeah, no one enjoys a hangover, and I guess no one enjoys like caffeine crush either. So nowadays, at least people are drinking alcohol, and they're also more conscious about what they drink and eat. And also 60% of consumers trying to cut out sugar from their diet. But the options we have, there are mostly sugar overloaded energy drinks or with sweeteners, and the drinks are also not functional. Our solution, we design functional drinks for different occasions based on the occasion and how we want to really feel. And yeah, here's the slide. So the no and low alcohol and functional beverages, there are two biggest trends right now. And Shroom is exactly at the intersection of both. And as I said, we're building our portfolio based on occasions. So instead of drinking alcohol or a cocktail, we have alternative for that is Diva Social Elixir with euphorics and aphrodisiacs. This is a unique blend for social occasions. We have Shroom Power. We can drink it instead of a coffee or energy drink without caffeine and without sugar crash. And for stress relief, we have Shroom Relax with L-theanine. We use medicinal mushrooms, so vitality mushrooms, and adaptogens instead of caffeine. The adaptogens we use is only lion's mane to support your brain's function and boost your immune system. L-theanine, which helps us to calm down. This is amino acid we can find in matcha, for example. And ginseng for stamina booster and vitality boost. So we compete not with Red Bull or other sodas. We compete based on occasions with even coffee, kombucha. We can have relax instead of non-alcoholic beer or alcoholic beer. And as I said, Diva instead of cocktails. We can create mocktails, which is functional, are functional, and we can still drive our car back home and feel good the next day. This is our business model. So wholesale B2B, retail B2C, and direct D2C. You can find us in Poland here in Żabka Już, for example, if you want to order. And we have also our e-commerce and also subscription model if for like real fans. So this is our, we bootstrapping and growing. And these are some of our Google reviews. My favorite one, it's for Diva, expensive but worth it. So you can find us also in other countries in Europe, in Germany, Czech Republic, Denmark, France, Iceland. Now we just shipped our Poland, for example. So we're growing and trying to be available. Also, we also have a new format, 0.75 bottles. I have them also with me today, and our cans also, so you can try our products later on the next break. And the bigger bottle is more for instead of wine. So it's if you drink wine, good, you can drink wine, but sometimes you don't need to drink like 2 bottles. You can have like instead of another bottle of wine, you can just grab Shroom and share with others at the table. And I'm Aga, and I'm co-founder of Shroom, and together with Camila, we working on this since couple of years, and since 3 years we available in Poland, and we're planning to also expand our portfolio and do other drinks. Like our plans is also do the Shroom recovery, more for people who are into sport, and Shroom beauty, for example. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great evening today.
Thank you. That's actually something really close to my heart, as I've been trying to cut up on sugar as well, and not drinking alcohol is nice sometimes. I mean, All right, with that in mind, let me quickly scroll back to our things. Of course, we already had Elias from Rebellion here. You know, most of the people have been talked about. Let's just mention quickly KMAC is our sponsor, partner, and JetBrains that will be providing some JetBrains community licenses. And let's just do one more last clap before we begin. Thank you. All right, so today, finally, we have a lineup of quite an exciting talks. We have Faris talking about, it's all on the screen. At the end of the day, you'll stick to the end. You'll figure it all out, right? We have Gideon and our residential Rafał Pocztowski, and of course, a lightning talk by Jakub. And I don't know why I got stuck there. So you know what? Let's just go. And I would like to, for all of you, to welcome Faris on stage with his laptop. Yeah, that's.
Shrooms were close to your heart. You were trying to start having some more. Are we doing?
Yeah, you just.
HDMI or is it USB?
Yes, it's HDMI.
Is it?
I think it is at the end of the
Okay,
day.
let's figure this out, man.
I think that should work.
Okay, then I can put this away.
Do.
Do I get mic'd up?
You do.
I do. I get special treatment.
You can plug it in. Like
Okay. No, I'm not meant to hold it like a TikToker the entire time. Okay, cool. This is always the most awkward part before a talk starts. You know, all the fumbling, all the getting things started off. But
we handle it pretty well.
we handle it pretty well, right? I just bring some awkwardness back out into the world. Cool. I've got 22 minutes to talk to you about how to make money. But actually, I will start my talks with squeaking. Ooh, am I moving? I gotta move somewhere. Is it here? Okay. Okay. Is this the limit? Okay. You're happy. We're happy. Cool. I walk a lot during talks. So anyways, I bring a rubber ducky with me. Why? Does anybody know why rubber duckies are important in software engineering? That's not the reason, but do you have an answer? Do you have a guess?
Well, if you've ever played the Hitman games, it could be part of your grandmaster plan.
Okay, I've never heard that one.
It's a very good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know the answer to this one?
I don't know. You could explain your concepts, your ideas to it, and people listen to you.
This is before vibe coding was a thing, right? This is before we talked to LLMs. This is the OG way of debugging stuff, right? I have a secondary use case. I come from Switzerland, and over there, therapy is very expensive. So this is a very, very affordable alternative to that problem, and then it's easy to get people's attention afterwards. Anyways, I'm going to be talking about a topic called orchestrating payments for the millions, and a concept called reactive payments. And it's all going to make sense soon, but I want to ask a question, which is, has anyone ever used Revolut before?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I come from Switzerland, right? I pay in Swiss francs when I'm in Switzerland. When I'm coming over to Poland, I got to pay in Polish zloty, or somewhere else, I got to pay in euros. I tend to not want to use my credit card to do that. Reason being is because every time I use the credit card, I had this exact thing happen today. I use the credit card and I don't know, I get that question that's asked, which is, do you want to pay in Swiss francs? Do you want to pay in zloty? Is it the the exchange rate the machine's charging me? Is the one my bank's charging me? Is the person trying to cheat me out? Why'd I have to pay a 53% tip? There's a lot of confusion that happens in that process. And the reason we all love Revolut or Monzo or mobile e-banking platforms like that is because it gave us the opportunity to be able to use the exchange rate that's the same Google. So you would search exchange rate of zloty to Swiss francs, and whatever exchange rate you see there, you don't see the markup. You see exactly that same thing in Revolut. And the way they did that is with something called liquidity pooling, where they had, let's say 2 large bank accounts, 1 million Swiss francs in one bank account, and then 1 million Polish zloty in the other bank account. And users would have an internal ledger, essentially, which would determine how much money is allocated to person X in the one bank account, person Y in the other bank account. And so whenever exchange rates were to take place, what actually happens is that there's no money that shifts. What happens, in fact, is that the numbers allocated in the internal ledgers between the bank accounts try to match up a transaction. So if I want to exchange 100 zloty for Swiss francs, it'll find another person on the other end trying to do the same thing, and then just switch the numbers. And that's the kind of innovation that came about with those platforms. And all of that's to say that moving money is a really complicated problem, even though it's a simple thing that we try to do every single day. Cool. A little bit of an introduction about myself. I've worked in the connected TV space on platforms like Discovery Plus, GCN and Eurosport. I've worked in monetization and growth teams. I'm currently at Small PDF as a staff software engineer. Worked in fintech spaces. I used to be a CrossFit athlete and coach in a previous life. And then I'm also a Raycast ambassador. That's why I'm wearing the Raycast t-shirt, but I don't work for Raycast. I just love developing extensions for them. Anyone here use Raycast? Awesome. They're incredible, and Raycast V2 is coming out soon. I just got access to the beta. It's really, really cool. Most of the co-founders of JS will talk about that a little bit more towards the end. And then I'm also a Stripe community builder. That's a lot of things in one, but you want to know the benefits. What's the point of me telling you these things? There are benefits associated. I got 3 prizes today. They'll be randomly handed out. based on questions that come up in the middle of my talk. And I'm going to tell you what the 3 prizes are. First one is a €100 voucher to Zurich JS, and you'll figure out what that is later down the line. I brought Swiss chocolate. I did not bring a Rolex with me. That's the first thing anybody asks. I can't get a Rolex. I can't afford a Rolex. Anyways, and I brought a Stripe press book. So anyone here not know who or what Stripe is? Awesome. So Stripe doesn't just do payments, they also do books. And I have like 100 books at home. So I brought one of them with me to hand out, and it's sitting over there. So we'll figure out a way to hand that out. I want to start with a story time though. The story here is that at Small PDF a couple of months ago, we had a really interesting case where one of our employees, a non-technical employee, was at 9 p.m. going through old employee accounts. So some people have left our company. Some people, there were rounds of layoffs, things like that. And there were employee accounts that still existed. And whatever you do at some point is when you have extra employee accounts, you want to alleviate some seats. You don't want to pay for software that's not being used by somebody. You want to delete those accounts. So somebody's going and deleting, and then they shut their laptop and they call it a day. What we didn't realize is like one of the accounts that were deleted actually was attached to an API key. And that API key was for our Braintree API key, and Braintree is the PSP that PayPal created to be able to process transactions. And we saw this beautiful dashboard that just started to go all the way up. And you can see Braintree token fetch error. We were getting errors as a result of our token no longer being valid. And at Small PDF, we have around about 30-ish million users a month. So when something goes wrong, it goes wrong really fast. And you can see in this short period of time, 1,420 users were affected. Those are people that were actively attempting to pay, not just people on the platform. So every single error is a loss of revenue, and 3,208 errors. That is insanity. If I have time later on, I'll show you the actual Track.js dashboard. We don't use Sentry because like the ingestion limit was hit at the point that like it's the amount of errors we get essentially in I think 24-hour period is 120,000 errors, and then maybe like 800,000 in a week. So this is a small pond of errors, I like to call it, in a sea of problems. So it's very hard to detect anomalies, and we'll talk about that in a second too. This is our Datadog dashboard, which tracks snapshots of attempts to create payments. And so on that same trend, we saw shooting up of errors, and then this absolute fall of subscription creations. We're no longer able to create subscriptions. Great thing, right? You can see that we recovered a couple of them there, but that was a painful amount of time. The incident lasted from 9 p.m. till 10 a.m. Anyone good at math know how many hours that is? Actually, it's not a bad guess. Ooh, I lost connection. Cool. Let me connect it again. 12 hours of downtime. Has anyone ever heard of like the 5 nines and like SLAs? Like, yeah, 12 hours is like not going to cut it, right? And we'll talk about SLAs a little bit later too. If you're good at math also, and you knew how much revenue we made, we lost around about $5,000 to $10,000 in missed subscriptions. If you add on top of that the trust loss, the fact that people are not going to attempt them again, that's a really painful problem to have. And the whole conversation about reactive payments we're going to talk about is changing that story. How do we never get into this situation again? And first is talking about the struggles of payments. Why are payments so complex? We alluded to that a little bit at the beginning. And one of those problems is currency and FX. Just like I talked about today, I don't know what currency I'm paying in, the fees, so on and so forth. And so currency conversion is very problematic to businesses. If you want to operate globally, you need to be able to support a lot of currencies. And so just because you've founded a company in Poland doesn't mean you also don't want to accept transactions in US dollars and Swiss francs. So there's a currency dimension that we have to think about. Secondarily, you have to also optimize payment methods per country. I was giving this talk at DevOps Athens 2 weeks ago, and I saw a busker on my way to the talk, and the busker accepted PayPal and credit card. Like the days where like you would say, I don't have cash in my pocket anymore, and now somebody comes with like a QR code based payment or like, a tap to pay. You don't have the excuse anymore, right? If buskers are optimizing for payment methods, why aren't we doing that on SaaS platforms? I feel like they figured out something that we haven't cracked fully. And just to give you a little bit of an example, in Switzerland, we have one called Twint. Has anyone ever heard of that? Twint. I wouldn't expect anyone to hear of Twint because it's something that's designed for the local ecosystem. It was something that was created around about the time of Apple Pay, and it's got 5 million users, almost 6 million users in Switzerland. It's an entire ecosystem where the entire population has bought into a way of paying for things connected to the local banking infrastructure. It's really, really incredible. It's a QR code-based payment solution. What's really interesting is that if you go to Thailand, they also have a QR code-based payment solution where it's also plugged into that banking infrastructure. But the same manner of paying actually is entirely incompatible. I can't use my Twint system in Thailand, nor can I use my Thailand payment system in Switzerland. Same mechanism, same user experience, completely different infrastructure. For Brazil, you have something called PIX payments. And what was interesting is that a Brazilian friend of mine told me that back in COVID, when the government was dispersing funds to help people during the COVID period, you actually had to have a PIX account to receive those funds. So not only is it in terms of ease of paying using the local culture and conventions, but on top of that, being able to access certain funds is not possible without these payment methods and these payment infrastructures. There's UPI in India. UPI stands for Unified Payments Interface. We're going to talk about why that's a really weird payment method. And I've been working on it for the last 6 months. It's kind of crazy. And then in the Netherlands, there's Ideal Payments, which actually this year is being deprecated and shifted to Wero payments. So the entire way that a region is paying is changing. And if a business does not adapt to that, they can see an entire pivot in the way that their conversion is happening in that region. To give you a little bit of an example, last year at Small PDF, we introduced Alipay. And just introducing a payment method, no change to our pricing, no changes to the currencies, anything at all, 3.5x in revenue. So if you're making 100K a year, just add a payment method, you're making 350K a year. It's a good place to be, right? No product features added. People want more reasons to pay. Isn't that surprising? Then you also have regulation and compliance that comes with that. And there you have to deal with sanctioned countries and restricted transactions. Not every transaction is treated the same, depending on the business or the good that you're buying. Or if you're operating in a region where you should not be operating. So let's say Switzerland was a sanctioned country and you don't want to be able to operate there anymore. Payments should not be going through. You can actually have issues with your payment service provider as a result of you operating that region. And so you're increasing your business risk as a result. And when you increase business risk, your payment service provider can say, hey, we no longer want to operate with you, and you lose your ability to transact with them. And so being able to change the way your system reacts to geopolitical issues is an incredibly important thing when you're going for scale. And sometimes with the case of UPI, for example, in India, if you have no local business entity, you have no ability to pay. And this is where the difference between a PSP and a merchant of record comes into play. A merchant of record is a merchant on the record on your behalf that handles all the tax and compliance, just like an employer of record, like Remo, First, or Deal. They're your employer on the record that allows a company to be able to not create an entity in multiple regions, but still hire you through those. Same concept with a little bit more fees for payment service providers. They come with some limitations, but generally, if you're going to vibe code an app and start shipping it, you want to use a merchant of record. Otherwise, you're going to get into tax burdens and a lot of complexities there. There's also a lot of country-dependent compliance. And this is where I'm going to give away the first thing to whoever answers closest. And I'm going to give away the Stripe book for this one. How many different tax jurisdictions do you think there are in the US?
There should be one per state, but it also differs based on the product you're selling.
That's pretty close. Okay, so we're saying like 50-ish?
Yeah, 50-ish.
50-ish. Okay, anybody have any other numbers? Go for it.
Federal, state, county, city, and maybe 100.
So like 500, 1,000 maybe?
3,000.
3,000. It's not an auction.
65,000.
Dude, now you're just throwing numbers.
Yes.
Actually, I really liked your answer. So I'm going to give you the Stripe book. It's 11,000 separate tax jurisdictions. Why do I know this? I just shipped this feature today, I think 4 hours ago, to actually introduce compliance to the US. And I think there's like only a couple $1 million at stake if it goes wrong. It's a complicated thing to do. You have to, this whole concept you talk about, like depending on the product, that's actually called Nexus. That's a concept called Nexus where the way they understand it legally is that Nexus is reached by different dimensions or different categorizations. One is the type of product you're selling. The other is how much annual recurring revenue you're making in a certain tax jurisdiction, or it's from the first, for $90,000, it's absolutely free. You don't pay any taxes. And then from the $100,000, that's when you start paying taxes. So there are different ways you can reach Nexus. And the way we integrated this as small PDF was we asked Claude to create a switch case, and it ended pretty badly. Okay, we got laughs, it works. I have to test humor in different countries. Anyways, beyond the tax problem, there's chargeback and disputes. Anyone ever started a subscription for like 7 days and then put a calendar reminder on the 6th day and I'm like, I'm gonna cancel this because I don't wanna pay for it, but I wanna temporarily use it? Has anyone ever done this? Hands up if you've done this. Okay, good, we're being honest. Anyone else that didn't put their hands up is lying. I have done this multiple times until I realized how damaging this can be. And have you ever had this experience where you messed up the calendar date for when you were meant to actually cancel, then you got charged? And then you call your bank and you say, somebody stole my credit card. That's a dispute. That's a dispute. You dispute the charge at the bank level. And then the bank's like going to the merchant and saying, that transaction was not okay. You need to refund that thing. Not only are you refunding the amount, let's say the amount was $10, you have to pay sometimes a $20 dispute fee on top of that. So the loss is astronomical. If your dispute rate gets to a certain point, Stripe will say, it's okay, we don't want to do business with you anymore, bye-bye. That happened in 2021 with Small PDF. Very interesting because of the type of product that we sell. We sell a PDF product. How often do you have PDF needs if you're not a lawyer or an accountant? Maybe once a day, maybe when you're doing your taxes. So you're gonna create a subscription once, and then you're gonna do your taxes really quickly, and then you're gonna cancel it, or you're gonna dispute it at some point. And so for something that is subscription-based, that it's not like Netflix where you have a daily need, the entire dynamics in terms of how you model the subscriptions or deal with disputes changes. So it's really interesting how you charge for a product and what you're selling changes the entire financial model for how you create recurring revenue. Then there's reliability and uptime. So we already talked a little bit about the 3 nines. So 3 nines means in a year you can have around about 8 hours and 45 minutes of failure. How much does 5 nines allow you in a year? And that wins you the Swiss chocolate. 5 nines, 99.999%. How much downtime does that allow you per year?
15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay, nice. Any more?
3 hours.
3 hours.
1 hour.
Ilya, this was in your interview process, man.
30 seconds.
30 seconds? Okay, I had 15, 30, and did somebody say something else?
7.5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes? It's 5 minutes and 16 seconds. You got yourself some Swiss chocolate, man. And they don't export this from the country. Cool. 5 minutes. Does anybody's build pipeline finish in less than 5 minutes? Yours? Like local host doesn't count with like a starter Next.js project.
Not counting tests.
Huh?
Not counting tests, then yes.
What? That doesn't count as part of your build time. Okay, never mind. This is a different argument. We're going to go to Stripe status page. That's the next important part. Let me know also when I have 5 to 10 minutes because I can yap and make this 3 hours. Nobody wants that. I went to go to Stripe status page and I just wanted to see like, okay, they claim to have 5 nines. So like, I'm curious what's going on over there. And I saw there was like elevated PayPal errors for an hour and a half. That already breaks 5 nines, but there's still 5 nines on the website. Elevated bank contact errors, 45 minutes. Elevated API errors, 2 hours. So how can it still be 5 nines? And that's the platform is up. The platform is working. The API responds to you. But the payment method may not be working. The downstream provider may be down. And there are other things that could impact that's not within their realm of responsibility where they have to claim that they are breaching their SLA. So Stripe can be up and fine. Any payment method can be up and fine. But you care about being able to transact at the end of the day. And so even if you're having PayPal errors for an hour and a half, that can be a complicated space to be in. If I were to go down to PayPal's status page, I don't know what the 5 nines they boast, but they had 8 hours of failures. That's already 3 nines at that point. So that's not a great place to be if you're a payment provider. 8 hours of not being able to transact, that would have been almost the equivalent of the 12-hour outage we had where, let's say, the loss would have been closer to $3,000 to like $8,000. And this is where the concept of payment orchestration comes in. And you can think of orchestration is not new in engineering. There are multiple things that we orchestrate, but the concept here is think of it like air traffic control. You're routing planes or you're routing payments for best transaction cost, reliability, and speed at the end of the day. And it's one system, a type of architecture, a concept where you manage multiple PSPs under one hood. And so you prioritize or you figure out some business logic, and it's unique for every single business to be able to prioritize these things based on cost, success rate, and region. And we'll also see in an example where even the same payment method like credit card can have different success rates across different providers. And so it reduces your reliance on a single provider. Naturally, if you've got fallbacks and backups, you can reduce reliance. You can optimize for payment methods per country for higher success rates. And if we look at examples over here I'm showing Revolut and Stripe. So Revolut at some point used to have an SDK for you to be able to use them as a processing provider. And Stripe also too. Stripe, we're gonna look at like overlapping countries that Revolut operates in, and then countries that only Stripe operates in. So UK and France, Stripe and Revolut operate in both of those regions. Stripe fees is 1.5%, 0.2 pence. Revolut fees, 1%, 0.2 pence. Which one are you going for? Revolut. Same in France, Revolut. What are we optimizing for? Fees. Same currency, same region, we want to pay less fees. Now, Stripe doesn't operate in Cyprus or Estonia. So who cares what the fees are? I cannot expand my product in that region without this being the case. And now this may have changed because they released a lot of things when I was at Sessions in San Francisco 2 weeks ago, but like if this was the case, you still go for Revolut. Now, in high ARR markets like the US and Canada, where you'd make a lot of money, Revolut does not operate over there. So if you're sticking with that as a provider, you have no way to expand into high ARR regions. So whatever the fees are, Stripe is your only way to go for that. And so they are the dominant PSP when it comes to supporting multiple regions, but there are certain pockets where you may want to be able to optimize or change or have fallbacks and backups. And so if we think about the front-end architecture of something like this, let's say you open up a checkout. A user opens up the checkout and you initialize something called an orchestration layer. And we're being a bit ambiguous of what this is. This is some custom piece of logic that we come up with. And I'll show a little bit of an example of what this could look like later on. We consume a global state and rules configuration. Either it's your Redux or your Zustand state, whatever it may be. Take this rules that you came up with, this static piece of, static object or JSON or whatever it is that decides something, and we consume 3 states. The first being a user's country, the second being a set of A/B tests that we want to run, and a list of currencies. We go and we take that information and we drive it into a decision tree. So based on certain logic, what we're going to do is prioritize PSPs, not singularly pick one, but prioritize them. So we'll pick a dominant PSP, and then we'll pick other ones that we could work with. And if we take an example of Stripe, Revolut, and Adyen, over here, we want to, let's say, process payments in China in Chinese yuan, and we saw the best payment method is Alipay, right? So if I want to pick a provider and I'm going through the decision tree, we're doing it manually in this case, Stripe supports the payment method that works the best for higher conversion, and they support the currency. Great, check. Revolut supports credit card, not ideal, supports USD, horrible. Adyen supports credit card, not ideal, but they do support the local currency. So how are you going to prioritize this? You're going to choose Stripe first. They match the criteria, but if Stripe's down, you can fall back to Adyen. And then worst case, even if you want to process a transaction, even if it's in the unideal currency or payment method, you can still go ahead and do that. Now, if you were to mishmash this into a React application, anyone here not a React dev, or who is a React dev here? Do you regret it?
React dev, but you hate React.
Okay, there we go. Who's a React dev but hates React? We're gonna send this straight to the team. No. Anyways, there's this whole concept of context providers, right? These SDKs provide this thing to us, these components where we pass context down. And so Stripe provides, for example, a context provider to pass to our checkout. So does Adyen, so does Revolut. So now we're gonna mishmash and create this sandwich of context providers and mishmash all the SDKs all into one and have a wonderful experience. And it can be a little bit of a nightmare. And what we want to do at the end of the day is create this level of abstraction, this orchestration system that allows us to have a single orchestration provider and underneath deals with all of that complexity. Same where each SDK may have a different language for the same thing. Stripe may want to process a transaction with an amount in currency, but Adyen may want to submit a payment with a value or currency code. So you want to normalize this and be able to harmonize it into a unified interface that allows you to process a transaction in a dumb way. The front end doesn't care. It just deals with it with adapters under the hood. Orchestration is predominantly a concept that would exist on the back end. where you would send a payment instruction and the backend would decide how to route it. And what's interesting in the front end is we get to take advantage of this reactivity that the front end frameworks give us. So we can react to user state in real time rather than once the transaction is processed, the backend deals with it. So we're trying to take advantage of all this reactivity. Here's an example of what a payment orchestration config looks like, where I'm defining Stripe, I'm defining an enablement criteria in an SQL-esque syntax, almost saying that, okay, only in these countries I want you to do this for the enablement criteria, or in these countries. You can mix or and ands. So only in China, I want Stripe enabled, only when the A/B test for Stripe gateway is enabled. I don't care about the currency. Here's the payment method, it's Alipay. And here's the provider that we're gonna render under the hood once we meet this criteria. Let's say I wanna add a payment method. That's me adding a payment method like PayPal, and it's done in 7 lines of code. 7 lines of code, and you're operational with a new payment method. And we know Terraform, we know all these infrastructure as code tools, but this is not so much as infrastructure as code, but the way I like to think about it is payments as code. How am I on time?
23.
So I have 2 minutes left? Yeah. 3 minutes left. Okay, benefits. So instead of having this dashboard that you can configure, you can actually version control your payments configuration. So if something went wrong, you can roll back. Most of these dashboards that exist, they have audit trails so that you know after the fact what went wrong, but rolling back is complex. You can then unit test your payments configuration. You can A/B test at scale for cost efficiency, especially if you run that at the front end because you don't depend on API requests at a certain scale to be able to have a decision for your segmentation. And if we take an example of a 10 million ARR business where if they're operating on an hourly basis 24/7, they're generating around 1.1K of revenue per hour. You've got seasonality and drift and whatever, but that's the average. If they're operating at the 3 nines, they're allowed 8 hours and 45 minutes of failure per year, around 10K a year of loss if they have that level of downtime. That's what you're saving yourself from with this orchestration. But not only there, you actually have uplift to consider. So you actually get to prioritize PSPs. Let's say you prioritize Pix payments, you get 5 to 15% of uplift, but then you're also not paying credit card fees at the scheme level to like Amex and Visa. So you're saving on fees, gaining on uplift, and saving on downtime. And so the savings tends to be a lot more encouraging than that. And I'm going to try and wrap up with a demo of how this looks like a small PDF. So we're going to open up our checkout, create an account, and then over here, I'm in the UK. So I have GB, I have British pounds. That's what we're rendering. We're rendering Recurly right now, which has a credit card and PayPal as payment options. Now, let's say I want to go ahead and switch that. So I'm going to go switch to China, re-render, and PayPal's not supported in China. So we're only going to show the credit card element because we can't process with PayPal. If I were to now go and switch on an A/B test where I want to enable Stripe, Stripe supports Alipay. So I've reactively switched and loaded a brand new payment gateway and loading the Stripe payment elements. So going to the US, also still having Stripe, allows me to now switch to brand new payment methods optimized just for the region. So PayPal, Google, and card. Now, if I were to turn off the gateway, we've reactively switched back to Recurly. So we're taking advantage of this reactivity that all these front-end frameworks give us. If I were to go to Germany, they optimize for SEPA payments with IBAN, so you can see direct debit as an option. And I can also talk a little bit later about why there's a lot of complexities there. And then finally, I think we're also switching to India. And what's interesting is in India, you'll see that there is credit card as a payment method, but the UI is a little bit different. And the UI is because it's using Adyen under the hood. And even though credit card is the same payment method as being offered by other PSPs, Adyen or certain payment providers have different acceptance rates. So the acceptance rate for a credit card may be different depending on the provider you choose. So there's more than just the payment method level to consider here. Implementing this architecture actually allowed us to drop our bundle size by 70%, which meant that the whole thing loaded a bunch faster, so you have a conversion boost there. And then you've got a bunch of edge cases. Should I cut at this point, or like? I'm running by you. Okay, we'll do 2 more minutes. I know I'm bad with time. So payment method reordering. You can choose the order based on your decision. So instead of relying on a PSP or the payment elements to decide what order they've optimized for, you can run A/B tests and you choose the order. SEPA payments are weird. Most credit cards, they settle in 24 hours. SEPA payments, therefore you have a 24-hour grace period, 24 hours before you know if the thing has gone through or not gone through. SEPA payments are weird. If you do a SEPA payment or an IBAN transfer on the weekend, banks aren't open, the transfer does not happen. So you have 5 to 6 days until you understand that the transaction is settled, which means you may have to have a 6-day grace period. So your features or your platform requirements, the way it restricts or upsells you things changes depending on the way that you paid with it, because the settlement time is very different. Tax inclusivity or exclusivity. So in EU, we go for tax inclusivity. The price you see is the price you pay. In the US, tax exclusive. We calculate sales tax after you've seen the price of something. So then you can A/B test exclusivity or inclusivity. And then UPI, I'm not even going to get into. It's a really weird payment method with a lot of problems. What I will show you is once we've created this segregation of result of this orchestration architecture into choosing a gateway based on choosing a gateway, currency, and country, let's go back to, where is it? Where's the demo? Did I fuck up? Oh, there we go. I missed the demo. Cool. Let's go back here. Okay. Let's say we got an alert. Same story as at the beginning. Braintree's not working in Switzerland. Let's see how fast we can fix it. So we got an alert, Datadog or whatever it is. We see the original UI, we got PayPal and credit card in Switzerland. I'm gonna go to the code really quickly. I'm gonna add Switzerland as a supported payment method for Stripe, as a supported country for Stripe. Re-render, done. We've got Stripe. Now, we had PayPal previously. We were only seeing credit cards. So I'm gonna quickly go and add CH Switzerland as a supported country for PayPal. And then I'm gonna go re-render the entire thing, and I have 100% parity with my previous payment experience. And so in 30 seconds, you're back to operational. Let's say your build time is 10 minutes, so that's your only limiting factor. And then you can simulate this with chaos engineering, game days, or whatever. And this weekend I was having fun and I built an open source library that actually does this. I haven't published it. I was kind of just playing around with it. So if you want to nerd out about this stuff, I can show it later on. And that's pretty much it. This is usually meant to be a much longer. Last thing, I run Zurich JS. I also run Zurich JS Conf, which is this September. We're flying out some awesome speakers like the maintainers are like maintainer of Tanstack, Nuxt, bunch of cool open source folk, Solid JS team, Scott Tilinsky, Tejas. We released a whole lineup of that. Anyone have a random question you want to ask? And I'll give you a €100 voucher for the conference. Who wants to be on the spot?
Have you tried Blick?
Have
you tried Blick Polish payments?
I have not.
Okay, what about stablecoin payments? Do you have experience with that? Stripe is experimenting with
Yes, there are stablecoin payments and also agentic commerce. Stablecoin, I don't think it's predominantly supported in the US. So for example, with Small PDF, we have a Swiss account. It's not available. We haven't been able to play around with it. But in terms of being able to do cross-border payments and everything, stablecoins is a much more compelling option. But I'll do you guys better. I'll give you both €100 vouchers for Zurich JS Conf. Okay, that's me. Cool.
Excellent.
Misha's gonna kill me now.
Excellent. I think this one is. Oh no, it is. You're at this point, man. You're competing with the pizza, so it's fine. So yeah, as I was saying, at this point we're doing a half. Let's see how are we on time. Let's do like at least 20 minutes break on pizza, and then we're gonna come back and resume with the rest of our talks. So I would say eat up, but the pizza is not on the table, but it will be shortly.
I owe you $2. Just,
One, no, no, no. Okay. Okay. All right, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Is it 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. We are just about to continue the meetup. I know it's difficult to go of the pizza and the drinks. All right. Everyone, attention please. We are just about ready to begin to continue with the meetup. So please take your seats and we are ready to welcome our next speaker. All right. Excellent. It's quieted down. All right. With that in mind, please give a round of applause to Gideon Avolesi. Is that right? Did I pronounce it right? Okay, excellent. So yeah, the stage is yours. You can click it on or do a TikTok thing.
Okay. I think I'll hold it. Hello, everyone. Hi. My name is Gideon Awolesi, and I'm a product designer, human factors engineer, usability engineer, and today I'll be speaking on mental models for designing AI products. A little about me. I've been in product design for about 10 years. I worked at Bayer, Philips, Kayagen, working on designing human-centric interfaces in terms of complex products and complex interactions. And the last 4 or 5 years, I've been heavily involved in designing AI products. And it's from my interaction and my experience in working in this field that brought up this topic for creating mental models for designing AI products. And we use a kind of classification for AI models in doing this. And mental models for designing AI products starts with every AI product you build exists in 3 versions at the same time. There's the one in your head as designer, there's the one that the user sees, and there's the one that the user believes it does. This was identified by John Norman about 3 decades ago. So here we have designer's model, we have the system image, we have the user's mental model. And in the designer's model, it shows you what you intend the AI to do, what the product actually shows, and what the user believes it does. And this leads to an overlap where if whatever you create overlaps, it becomes intuitive. And if the designer's model, the system's image, and the user's mental model does not correct, it leads to a gap, and that's the failure that exists in the product. This works for every product generally, but it's much more important in AI product because this is a field that is not as explored as regular products. I'll give an example of a mental model. When you go to an e-commerce store, on the top right, you see a shopping cart. You expect to see the shopping cart icon there, and you click on it, and you're able to add products and check out your product. That's an example of a mental model. And the every AI product right now exists in 3 versions that we're looking at. And because of this, there's 2 design systems where we have visual design system and we have system design. In the visual design system, we have components, we have libraries, we have token, we have design language. This is how it looks in a visual design system. And in system design, we have the architecture, the platform logic, data flow, and how it all connects together. Both of these use atomic design. It's a principle borrowed from nature. It takes small parts, bringing them together, and creating something new. This is the exact way I came up with the mental models for using AI products. And the atomic design, we have cell, the smallest units, with combined together, you get tissue, and combined together, you get organ, you get system. And in design systems, we have tokens, we have components, we have patterns, all of them combined together in different ways, you get the page. So from the simplest unit to the most complex structures. I'm talking about this because I'm trying to explain the methodology that I use to come up with this classification for AI mental models. I'm not just going to say these are the mental models, accept it as it is, but this is the methodology I use to break down the interaction, the function, the structure of all the AI products I've worked on so far to come up with this classification system. So another example of this is a navigation component, atom by atom. We have the text, and you have the frame, you have the button, and you have groups of buttons, and then you have the logo, and you have a navbar complete. Again, different minute details that is combined together and comes out as a navbar, a complete component that is being used. So when it comes to dimensions in which you can use mental models, there are lots of things that you need to consider. And one of them is the class, and the second one is the level. So when you're talking about the class, this talks about what can this AI do, or what is it built on. So if you're trying to classify an artificial intelligence product, either it's a software or it's a, for instance, the basic one is the FAQ bot. So the FAQ bot is on a class level of 1, and an intermediate class level of 2 is a booking assistant. Class level of 3 can be a context-aware research agent. Class level of 4 can be medical imaging AI, and example of class level of 5 is a multi-domain AI agent where it orchestrates systems. And this is example of what the AI can actually do. And the level is what stack is it built on. This tool that you're using in terms of artificial intelligence, we have things like the simple prompting, we have things like the script logic, we have the level of ML plus APIs, we have one of advanced MLs, we have ones with autonomous robotic sensors. So this is the level of complexity, the level of technological stack that you could use for whatever AI tool that you're building. So we can have one of a basic level. So if you're doing something that's as simple as an FAQ bot, do you really need something that's as complex as the robotic sensors? No, it doesn't match. So when you're trying to classify the AI level or the classification of the AI product that you have to consider these two things as the initial stage for this. So class and level tell you what to do. They never tell you what happens when it gets it wrong. So you can have, this is what my AI does. My AI is built on this particular stack. But what happens when the artificial intelligence product gets it wrong? And it's from this that I moved from 2 classes to 6 classes, where I added things like risk, explainability, governance, and resilience. And the risk profile, what is the cost of the mistake when the AI product that you're using gets it wrong? So on a risk level of R1, it's negligible, because something like you have added an AI bot to your product and it gives you a bad movie recommendation, fine, you can live with it, just see through it and there's no problem. But a risk level of R5, life-threatening, for instance, the Tesla self-driving, when it misdiagnoses something, you're supposed to turn right, or someone is crossing the road and he does not see the person crossing the road, and it becomes an issue. So the vehicle crash, it causes a problem. So this is an R5 life-threatening risk profile. What risk profile does your AI product belong to? If your AI product is dealing with finances, or if your AI product is in the hospitals, you're using it because I worked on a product 3 years ago that just scans the tray that is coming in and out of the hospital. So you're going to the hospital to try to cut down the time it takes for the doctors and the nurses to get into the operating theater. So the tray contains all the tools, and then you take a picture, you scan it, and when you scan it, it automatically identifies all the tools that are in the tray, so you can go in if you have everything you need. And when you're coming back out, it scans everything to be sure that you did not leave anything in the patient. So what happens when this kind of AI product makes a mistake in the scan, and there's a tool, there's a screwdriver, or there's a scissors left in the patient? These are the kind of things you need to consider when you're talking about a risk profile. What is the cost when the AI product that you're building gets it wrong? And then the next level is the explainability. Can it show its work? So the first level is the E1, which is the black box. It gives you zero insight into reasoning. And the E5 is something that is fully auditable. So when you have something that has a risk 5 and an E1, that is 0, it does not let you know why it is giving you that answer, but you are in a situation where your AI product is on a risk 5 level. This kind of product should never ship. So you need to consider what is the risk level of your product. Based on the risk level of your product, you need to know how the level of explainability you need to add to your product. So we have the minimal basic confidence scores. I am 56% sure that this is the right answer. We have ones where the feature importance is visible and the decision path is fully traceable. On E5, where every decision is documented and reproducible. And there's the next one, governance, especially in the medical field, because I've worked in medical field for most of my career, and there's so many regulations that you need to do. For instance, in medical field, there's something called the IEC 62366-1 standard, where you have to ensure that whatever medical product that you are working on has to meet that standard, or else it's not going to work, because companies spend millions of dollars building equipment like inhalers or RNA splicers, and then they try to ship it to sell it to hospitals that use these products. But because of the fact that the companies don't reach that standard that the government has set for it to be able to sell to the public, they are not able to sell, and they have to start all over again, and millions of dollars is wasted. So for the AI product that you're working in, whatever field that you're in, is it in finance, is it in healthcare, what rules does it have to follow that you have to impute into the structure of the AI product that you're building? The first one is the minimal G1, internal tools. For instance, something that you're working on internally at the company that is not going to be exposed outside. It has no outward-facing APIs or outward-facing interaction. Sometimes this could be a G1, but at the same time, it's not everything in the company that you want everyone in the company to have access to. Then there's the G2, basic standard data handling, basic privacy, and we have G5, maximum. Again, medical devices, autonomous vehicles, and mandatory audits. Risk and governance are related, but they are not the same, because a financial AI can be moderate risk, because yes, you will lose money, but you're not going to lose your life. But it has maximum governance. And then again, for people that have dealt with the Polish tax system, I know regulators are no joke, because if you are building an AI product that's going to be automating your taxes for you, and then you don't put in the required governance level for it, and it tells you that, oh, you're supposed to file your tax return like this, you're supposed to get 20,000 zloty this year, and you say, okay, sure, no problem, let's do it. And the tax regulators come to your doors and they start knocking, and then you're in big trouble. And this is also very important, because there's some, in the initial parts when this AI products were released, they did not have these checks in them. They were always hallucinating and giving you what you wanted to hear. And sometimes you look at it and you know that this does not make sense. And the AI is like, oh, you caught me. You are right. This is what it's supposed to be. So governance, explainability are things that are important when you're building your own AI product. And this is where also this comes in. Resilience. Can it survive the real world? As a product designer, one thing I know for a fact is that humans are extremely unpredictable when it comes to actually dealing with your product. When you're doing one-on-one, when your product is out there and users are actually using your product, what you think, that's why I have those three mental models in the beginning. What you think your product is, or what you think your product can do, is not what users assume your product is. Because we're talking about things like, for instance, when I was working on chatbots for Namecheap, and the problem that they had was that they were trying to reduce the costs of customer support agents. And they wanted to build chatbots with conversation design that would be able to take over the role of this customer support agent. And this conversation design requires you defining specific questions that users might ask and then connecting them to specific answers. So you have stuff like, can I add a new domain to my VPS? Can I add a new domain to my VPS? And users would come and write CN as can, and I and VE as have a domain to my VPS. And the AI and the chatbot does not understand that. So how exactly are you building your AI product to handle real life interfaces, real life interaction with users? So there's one where your product is fragile. This is where ChatGPT was in 2020, where it fails without warning and hallucinates confidently. This is very problematic. If you have an S1 level of fragility of your product and you are dealing with something like a medical device. And then there's the level of anti-fragile where it gets better from stress and learns from failures. So the difference between a demo and a shipped product is how resilient your product is. So now these are the 6 dimensions. We have the class. What can it do? what is it built on, how dangerous is it when wrong, can it show its work, and what rule does it follow, and can it survive reality? So the capability of your product plus product readiness is what determines if your product passes the 6 dimensions of mental models. So the 6 dimensions give your whole team a common language. For instance, if you are saying that in your team, you're working in a product team, and you're saying we are building a class 3 level D R4 system, and its explainability is too low for its risk profile, everyone understands, you're on board. Once everyone has been educated about the level of mental models that your products can have. So you're assuming you're building a class 3. Look at what we have here. We have a class 3, and we have something like a level D. What is it built on? So it's a class 3. It does an average number of stuff with on the class level. And what is it built on level D? Something that uses a lot of power or uses a lot of infrastructure, and its explainability is too low for its risk profile. That precision that you set up when you're working on products, it changes decisions. So, for instance, in system image mismatch, your interface must communicate the right mental model for the risk. So, if you have an R4 system, like a risk system, a platform, or a product with AI that has a risk level of 4, and you have something like a casual, playful, gamified interface, the trust gap there is waiting to explode. Because people are there, you're trying to make your platform more fun, or as product managers are asking designers to make now, they're asking you to make the product more delightful. So you're trying to make your product more delightful, and this is a product where you're dealing with lots of money, real money, and you're making it like points in a game. The risk level is not matching. It's a disaster waiting to happen. So because this is something that is happening lately, where people don't really think that the money in your bank account is real money because it's not cash. So it's just zeros in an interface, and this is the problem, because they're doing that to get you to spend more. So now this is P equals C X LT, and C is capability, LT is lifespan. So your product, the viability of your product is the capability of your product versus the lifespan. So if your product has 0 capability, it has 0 value. High capability that dies in 2 weeks is not a product. If your product has very high AI integration, it uses a lot of AI power and does very, very fancy stuff, but because of the fact that you did not take into consideration the technological stack that it is built on, or the risk profile, or the explainability needed for your product, it dies in 2 weeks, and it's not a real product. You cannot put something like that out there. So you have to always consider whatever it is that your product you're shipping in terms of using AI integration, the capability of it multiplied by the lifespan is what determines if your product is going to be viable. I'm going to pause here if anyone has any questions. Okay, 0 questions. Okay, awesome. So again, this is just thinking on my own side, and basically here, if AGI exists, the formula would probably be utility multiplied by autonomy, multiplied by learning, multiplied by fidelity, multiplied by ethics, times LT square times S over risk safety gate. Now, this is just an experiment that I'm working on, where all the capabilities of a fully autonomous system that works across dimensions, this is what is required for it to work. And I thought, it was just something that came out of my head, but this particular formula here is published in the Chinese DeepSeek paper that they put out last year on AI products in the formula there. So you can check my article on Medium. I wrote this exactly in full, and you can check it out and see how when you're building mental products, mental models in AI, how it can work for users and integrate into your products can be set up. So before you add AI to any product, you have 6 questions. What is the class? What is the level? What is the risk? Can it explain itself? What rules does it follow? And can it survive the real world? These are the questions you need to ask whenever you're working on AI products. It helps a lot, because again, this is something I've been using for the last 2 years. It has helped me to find risk before they even occur, especially as a product designer or usability engineer in the real world. And that's it for me. And thank you. Any questions? No questions. Oh, okay.
I suppose this can be applied to discrete systems as well.
Exactly. It's specifically for that because the most of my work is in medical field, and we work on things that, of course, have what do they call this stuff? I guess I can just use the word copyright. This kind of products that have specific integrations in them, and they use lots of privacy features. For instance, working on this device, Kaya Symphony, let me use that as a word, because during the COVID-19 period, when we were trying to get as much blood test as possible, this product, Kaya Symphony, was something that was used. And when you're talking about using life-saving or life-interacting tools like that, you have to get it right. Same thing at Philips, where we're working on SPO2 devices and contemporary measurement like that, where you're dealing with people, you have to understand the risk profile and everything. So this particular method works for those discrete systems. Yeah. Any questions?
When it comes to G5 level, how much time it takes to design a proper solution?
Okay, the G5 level, first of all, depends on what market that you're pushing it into. For instance, sorry, I keep talking about medical stuff. That's where I have the most experience. But for instance, in talking about governance level, where you're pushing something into a medical field, there's regulations out there for that. But the problem with this here in artificial intelligence is that there's not enough regulation on AI. So there's not enough regulation on AI. So where G5 lacks because there's no regulation on that, that's where you have risk and explainability covers up for G5. That's why everything works together. When there's not enough governance or instructions or guidelines around this particular product that you're doing, you have to use the risk level. What happens when that product gets it wrong, and how can you explain the decisions that product is making to compensate for G5? Sure.
Is there any reason why level is in letters while the rest is in numbers?
Oh, so that it looks fancy like that, because I cannot use the same letters because they sound similar. Some of them have the same first letter, and I'm trying to use them together, so I just switch it to a number to make it look like that. Okay. Thank you very much, and it was great speaking to all of you.
Awesome. I love this because I feel like so many companies just shipping AI for just like without thinking about anything, about no risks, no control, nothing. And yeah, well, with that in mind, I guess it's time to welcome Rafał Pocztarski to the stage. And I think I might just have lost your slides. I apologize, but I will find them. I will definitely.
Do we have any remote for slides?
That we do not have, unfortunately. Okay, so you did send us them in the email, right?
Yes, I sent it via email.
Can you? Okay, it's fine. I don't think it's.
Okay.
It's a very small. Yeah, there it is. Should be here. I apologize. It's just this little small hiccup because it's on me. I completely forgot to find. Is this the link?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably this is too little. The letters are very small.
Perfect. I was looking for the attachment. That's why. Okay. How the hell do you do the full screen there? Do you know? Are you the Mac expert? How do you? No. F11. No. F10. F9. Do you know how to do full screen?
Probably in some menu or something. I don't know.
Okay. Two engineers are trying to find out how to put Chrome to full screen. That is so hard to do under pressure. Any experts? Any experts in Google Chrome? Do you know the hotkey to put it to full
These
screen?
days, everyone is vibe coding, so no one.
There it is. There it is.
Manual.
Okay, there it is. And
Okay, hello.
another round of applause, please.
Okay, so hello, I'm Rafał Posztalski, and today I will be talking about, my talk is titled The End of TSC and the Rise of TS-Go with TypeScript 7.0 Beta, because very recently the TypeScript 7.0 was released. So first, a little bit of some background of what is TS-Go and how it started. Back in March 2025, last year, Ryan, the development lead for the TypeScript team, announced that the new TypeScript compiler will be completely rewritten in Go, which was a little bit like surprising for some people, mostly because everything these days is rewritten in Rust. So that was one surprise. And the other thing was that at Microsoft, there are other languages that are like developed in-house. So it was also surprising for that. So this was March last year. Then Anders Heilsberg even had to like explain why they chose Go for that, because he was the original designer of C#. So naturally, at Microsoft, people were expecting that they will be using their own language for that, but there were actually very good reasons for using Go for that. So this was at March last year. Also, very soon at Warsaw JS, I gave a talk about it, that there is a plan for developing the new TypeScript compiler. You can watch the talk on the YouTube channel of Warsaw JS. And very recently, just like almost days ago, there was announced that we already can download and use the new TypeScript compiler written in Go. It's called TS-Go. By the way, there are some links in my slides, and at the end I will give a link to the slides online. So if anyone would like to click on those articles and read something, then it will be easy to do at the end. So what was the main difference of rewriting the compiler, TypeScript compiler in Go, was like the 10x speed up. This was like the promise, and some benchmarks was talking about it. But I decided to like test it to see what's the current version that can be downloaded today, how it really works on some real world project. And the real world project I chose was TypeORM, because this is like a real project that people are using every day. And the other reason was that it is also like non-trivial. It is pretty big, pretty big number of lines. Unfortunately, I wanted to count the lines number, and I didn't add it to my slides. So, but maybe someone knows or can check how many really lines of code it is of TypeScript. And also the TypeORM was like a lot of large projects like React, Angular, and other things like this require a lot of tooling except just the compiler. So I wanted to find something that I can just install dependencies and run the compiler. So yes, install dependencies with pnpm, and this already installs TSC, so the classic TypeScript compiler for the project. Then installation of TS-Go. So this is like the new TypeScript compiler can be installed with this command, so everyone can do it as well. And also it installs with the command called TS-Go, so it can be installed at the same time with no clashing of the name, so you can really easily test it. Like it doesn't override the classical compiler. So this is the 7.0 version. And also, I needed to update the configuration, the tsconfig for TypeORM, because there were two options used there that are already deprecated in the new version. So, and I will also talk about it a little bit later. And then running the compiler using pnpm, which is like not yet what I would like to be doing, because this still runs Node and for both of those, and pnpm to execute them. So then I noticed the speed up like almost 5 times. But when I execute it, just the binaries without invoking Node.js and pnpm runner, just running the both compilers directly, then the speed up is even more visible, because then, and this is what is interesting for me here, that I'm compiling TypeORM with like half a second compared to using the normal compiler, like the classical compiler, with almost 4 seconds. And also what's interesting here is that we can see, because what I'm really waiting as a user when I invoke the compiler is the real-time clock. Like because this is the output of the time command is real time, that really elapsed the seconds that I had to wait. But also what's interesting is that the user time, this is the CPU that's spent in the user space and in the kernel. So it is. This is interesting because for the Go compiler, it's much longer spent in like the CPU, because it sums all of the cores, all of the time spent in each of the core of the CPU. So it already shows that it utilizes more cores more efficiently than the classical compiler that maybe uses not even 2 cores fully. And here already it's like at least 4 or 5 cores are utilized, which was like one of the main ideas to use Go for this, because it's pretty easy to do use the Go routines in Go as compared to parallelizing TypeScript code. So here what I noticed was like the 6.7x speed up, which is for this code. For this node version, this is the version 24. This is the current LTS version. Also, what I was interested if the output is like really the same, because it's nice to have something faster, but if the output was like not the same or didn't catch the same types of errors, it would be not that useful. But it seems that this is the old output, this is the new output. For I just introduce one error to TypeORM to see if it's like detected. So the output is, I think, exactly the same, just like to the character. So there is like no change other than having it 7 times faster for at least TypeORM project. I didn't test it a lot with a lot of different kinds of projects, but at least for TypeORM, which is pretty advanced, it seems to be working very good. Also, I noticed that there is some difference of the speed of the classical compiler depending on which version of Node you are using. And for TSGO, this is like a non-issue because it is shipped as a binary, as a native binary for the architecture that we are using. So it doesn't use Node.js, so it doesn't matter which version we are using. It doesn't affect the speed. But I wanted to check what are really like the differences for different Node versions. So I checked from version 22 to version 26, and it seems that like the gap is a little bit closing because Node itself is starting to be faster. So for 22, the speed up was 7.7 times faster was the Go compiler, the Go-based TypeScript compiler than the Node-based TypeScript compiler, but now it's like 6.7 times faster. So of course, if the trend continues, then we can extrapolate that about version 48 of Node, it will be like the Go compiler will be slower, and maybe that will be the time, maybe like in 20 years or something, that we will be rewriting it back to TypeScript. This is, if anyone is interested, those are the exact versions that I was using. It was the master branch of TypeORM from yesterday. The TypeScript compiler was with the version that was required by TypeORM with package.json, and the TSGO was the current version that is installed with this command for the native preview beta. Test was done on laptop, so this might mean that some difference may be on servers, on CI, on some runners on GitHub. So this is like just to have some idea if I can achieve this like 10x speed, but this like it was not really that bad for me. I mean, even if the speed was like twice as fast, then I think it would be worth to try the faster compiler, especially if it can like save us a lot of time on CI or waiting for our tests to build and things like this. And so now what I needed to change in the TS config, because this is interesting for if we want to migrate our project, we need to make some changes, not because it is the new compiler is written in Go, but because some of the TS config options were have changed the defaults and some were deprecated. So changing the defaults is not such a big deal because we can like reconfigure it for our own choosing, overwriting the defaults. But I think those are pretty sane defaults. Like the strict mode is like by default true. The target is by default the latest stable version before ESNext, and some things like not a lot of complicated things. So I think that for those, most of the projects, even if they were using those, that can be reconfigured from the defaults but the deprecations. For example, the base URL is completely deprecated. So if anyone was like heavily using it, then probably a lot of changes should have to be done to like stop using the base URL. The target ES5 is no longer possible. So if anyone, I don't know if anyone here is targeting such, I don't know, because probably with Node.js it doesn't matter because no one is using old Node.js, but for the front-end code, probably it depends how old browser you need to support. But I think that ES6 is already like, I don't see much reason to support ES5 right now. So I guess it was a good idea to clean it up and stop using it. Same for all the versions of types of modules and module resolutions. The down level iteration, this is actually transpiling things like some newer types of iteration loops to the very old one before ES6. So also this is something that is probably not really used anymore that much. And this is pretty much this. So like the changes were to the actual config was not very extensive, but also I advise to look at the blog post that is announcing the 7.0 beta to make sure that that you are ready if you need to upgrade, and sooner or later probably everyone will, because this will be the like new main version of TypeScript compiler. And the stable release is next month. Should be like there's a plan at least following looking at the release notes for this version, that the stable release should be like in the next 2 months. But it seems that people are already using the beta version. It doesn't seem to be like unstable, especially like no API changes are planned for that. No other changes in the configuration should be planned. So I guess that it will be not very much different than it is already now. Yeah, so the beta release already usable. Also, it's important that the TS-Go doesn't conflict with TSC, the command itself, so you can easily install both of them and just try if you can change it on your CI or in some changes, change some parts of your pipeline to give it a try. And also, because like these days, no talk would be complete without some mentioning of AI, but usually just for vibe coding. And this is like one bonus that I think about, like using Go itself. Michel Hashimoto, the creator of most recently Ghosty and others more known things like Vagrant, Terraform, Vault, and a lot of DevOps tooling, recently wrote that he is going back to Go again because Ghosty was written in Zig. And he's going to Go again for a very interesting reasons, because he thinks that it's like, in his words, AI agents are shockingly productive in Go code. And in his estimation, at least, much more than including like in the even JS ecosystem, which was pretty much always like the most used language, like JavaScript, TypeScript, and all the ecosystem was pretty much more preferred for vibe coding. And so also this is something that, first of all, Go is entering this ecosystem, being the implementation language for the TypeScript compiler. And also some people who are going back to Go are pointing it out that this is like very good language for AI tools to produce code. So this is also, I think, pretty interesting. This is also like April 20 this year, so this is very fresh. And also, I don't even know what Michio Hashimoto is creating right now. I don't think it was already announced, but something probably interesting. So yes, so this is basically this is also like created with AI. So just to let you know. And so this is what I presented. I hope that maybe we have some time for questions. And here is the link to the slides. So if anyone would like to follow some links and read the articles, I also recommend reading actually from the beginning of the slides, the issue on GitHub when they were explaining where the issues go, because it was very entertaining to read like a very heated discussion of people who are arguing which programming language would be better to implement a compiler in. So this is something, if you enjoy this kind of thing, is nice to read. So thank you, and maybe there are some questions, so I'd be glad to take them.
Yeah.
Now the questions. Remember, you get a chance to win a JetBrains license. Yes. So go ahead.
Is it production ready?
This is formally it is beta, but I would say that I wouldn't be very concerned about using it on production, because it's something that like you don't break anything. You can always like put some like double checking on the CI. For example, like running tests might be nice because it's faster. You can finish faster. You can have like a parallel pipeline to do the type checking with the old compiler to make sure that it is safe. So for example, if your running tests on CI require first the build step, then you might, for example, right now do the TSGo use for the build step and running the tests, and in parallel do a different workflow by running the old school compiler. And this would also be a required check on GitHub, for example. So it will be not possible for you to merge the PR, for example, if the type errors are there. But you will get faster feedback with this first run, for example, or do it locally and on CI use the old compiler if that's like more confident. But I think that if they're planning to release the stable version like in 2 months, then I guess that this is pretty much ready, and this is what I'm hearing. I haven't had any problems with that. The comment with the installation instruction, you can install it with like pnpm or npm, and it just selects the right version for your architecture and installs a binary. And if this binary is working, then there are no like shared libraries that you need or some infrastructure on your machine. So I would be pretty confident to like give it a try and at least, for example, start using it locally, and then maybe on CI not yet, but you would have like multiple checks for it. But from what I've tested, it has like identical output. So just maybe it depends if the tsconfig you need to adjust, because if you rely heavily on the things that were deprecated, then maybe not yet. But I think that it's pretty a good time to give it a try.
So, have you tried some? The TypeScript itself, the TS compiler is important to go, but there's also a big subset of programming tools like linters, and much more than that, including also the language servers for IDEs and stuff like this. And is there like a JavaScript? So there is a JavaScript API for TypeScript, and is it like being updated for TSGo as well, or the JavaScript API is only available in JavaScript for TypeScript?
I think that for the language server, for example, then it is already usually invoked like this, that this is like a separate process, and the like IDE is communicating with it. So this would be like not a problem. It would just start a different kind of process. For tools like linters, we already have like a lot of modern tooling is written in Rust already. So like, and it doesn't seem to be much of a problem with this. I think that it would be nice to, it would be easier to create like libraries in Go, like new linter written in Go, because you would be able to import the libraries that are internally used by the new compiler. But I don't think that, first of all, like the parser that you are already using, like in JavaScript, are available as libraries still. That's an interesting question. I think that we have to see if like it maybe the TypeScript version of the compiler for use in some libraries will be kept up to date just for libraries. But I don't think that it will be very important, like using, looking at the Rust tooling that is already created a lot for the JS ecosystem. So I guess that for me, it would be interesting to see another runtime for TypeScript. Yeah, like we have Node, Deno, and Ban. So Node is implemented in C++, Deno is implemented in Rust, and Ban is implemented in Zig. I would like to see another fourth nice runtime implemented in Go. Maybe this will be a good place to start, having already a compiler written, transpiler, the TypeScript compiler written in Go that you could use like for just like, you know, currently Deno and Ban are bundling the traditional, you know, JavaScript TypeScript compiler implemented in JavaScript in the runtimes. But if there is a runtime written in Go, it would have at least an advantage of being able to directly import the Go native compiler inside of the runtime. So that would be something interesting that I would like to see. Nice. So I've already heard today few people that are already using TSGO in production. So like answering, I am not yet using it in production, and probably in like larger organization, I would like it would be easier to change it when it has officially been released as a stable version. But I've already talked to a few people here that are using it already in production. Then maybe it would be nice to talk about later and like maybe exchange some you know experiences if you notice any problems or not. Then it would be nice to discuss later.
Excellent. Any other questions? I guess that we can say thank you very much.
Thank you. Excellent. Yeah, I love tooling. All right. And we are just about ready to move on to, we have two lightning talks, one surprise lightning talk. Are we going to have the one? Yes. Okay. And then I'm going to have to greet Jakub Grzywachewski. Wait, that's correct? Grzywachewski.
Perfect.
Wow. Okay. I practiced that. And I'm not sure if that works. Maybe you have to turn it on.
It's working.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So please, did you clap already? I don't remember. Okay.
Hello.
Let's start again.
Hello, everyone. You might ask me why GitHub Copilot, because we have Claude, we have another tools, CLIs, but still when it comes to enterprise environment, this is the entry point for a lot of people, not only technical one, but also BAs, product owners, and so on and so forth. So this is why I want to talk about it, a little bit about myself. I'm working with .NET, JavaScript, DevOps, so I have collected enough context switching trauma to start working on AI workflows. And this is how it begins. We are getting Jira task, and it always says it's just small feature. It is just small component. It's not big deal, just small endpoint. But the reality is that you have to somehow include here some API conventions you have in your company. You have DTO validations, you have create tests, and somehow you're attached config files, which nobody wants to see again. And the solution for that is building AI workflows. And I'm just have a question for you. How many of you are vibe coders? define that? Using LLM for creating code. Almost everyone. And how many of you created an AI agent? We'll go to this one. Okay, so a few people. Great. And on left side, you have red pill, and you can still type just simple text to the chat, to Copilot, to other tools. And what you will get is just generated code. It will have flows like you have no test, you have no docs after the process, but on the other side, you can create something called agentic workflow. And what it means you will have the whole instrumentations. Instead of providing a lot of context to the prompt, single prompt, you will build the whole infrastructure with rules you have, with docs, ADRs, informations, which skill you should be used for building that specific endpoint. And as a result, you will get the repeatable delivery. So something completely different. And when it comes to building AI agents, you have this GitHub folder, which already stores some standards, automations, ownership. But when it comes to building AI workflows with GitHub Copilot, you can create something like here. You can see the Copilot instructions. You have folder with skills, prompts, instructions, and agents. And when it comes to building the whole instrumentations, I want you to think about 6-layer model. And I'm going to go quickly through all of them. We have mine Copilot instruction file, and this is the entry point. Basically, this is the fridge with the rules of your house. Another layer, path instructions. So you are including information about specific neighborhoods, like road signs. You are talking about building the components. You are talking about building the endpoints. So you have different roles here. Another layer, it's building skills. This is my favorite, actually. You can think about about methods. You have some complex logic, and you can wrap up this logic inside the MD file called skill. Another layer are prompts, and this is big red start workflow button. You are starting with doing some process with the prompt, and prompt is basically for communication. You can use the prompts outside the workflow, but some agents can basically be triggered by prompts. And the layer 5 is agents. And when it comes to building agents, you can think like building a gigantic prompt to when you're just vibe coding. When you're vibe coding, you can pass to the chat the information about your documentation, about Figma, and you can attach MCP to your IDE. Instead of doing that, you can create the instructions for the LLM, how you should proceed, which you can delegate that process to the agent. Last but not least, there are hooks and guardrails, and you can think about them like club bouncers for your repository. So when you want to stop some process, you are building a hook, and hook can really stop the agent. And there are also some additional benefits when it comes to hooks. You can also trigger some processes, some library, some linting process, building new TypeScript with Go. It can be wrapped up in hooks. So this is the full workflow. You are starting with the prompt and passing that information, what you want to build, to the agent. Then agent decide which rules should be applied to here, which skills, and maybe which sub-agents you want to delegate to that process. And only then, once you will collect the all information, you can start the implementation. So you are building controller instead of, let's say, test. And when you build the controller, there's another phase with validation, and this is when this layer with hooks comes in, and you can, let's say, run tests here, or just add the documentation if the test actually succeeds. And once you have all of that, you validated the whole process, you have the delivery. You can create the pull request, and you can have, of course, the separate agent for building pull request with all of that information you went through. And this is my favorite slide because when it comes to debugging your agents, your workflows, your skills, there's always some problem because they are sometimes complaining on the skills you have. Another is saying that he cannot do that because another agent just stopped it, the whole process. So you have this agent debug logs, and as you can see here, you can see the workflow. This is just small one, but it can be quite long, and you can see how the models are switched when you have auto mode. You can see how many skills you used, or sub-agents were involved in the process. And it just, for me, just one step closer to become the psychotherapist for AI agent. Some useful links if you are interested. There is Agents MD website, which is basically some place where the standard is built, how to structure the agents. You can see Awesome Copilot repository with the whole instrumentation. They provided a lot of examples here, how you can structure in all layers I just was talking about. And the last thing about debugging agents, there is also a video on Visual Studio Code website. They showed how you can really go really deep into the reasoning process. So thank you.
All right.
Any questions?
Questions?
Okay.
No questions. Excellent. I absolutely love Copilot because it was the only service that did not charge you based on usage, but instead based on requests, and that included agentic workflows as well. And that was a super good deal. But that's no longer the case because that's changing. Yeah. That's very sad.
Can I give a help? Is sitting up?
Take this boy. He has a wooden spoon. Oh no. Okay. All right. This is our last lightning talk for the day.
Alrighty, then.
Unexpected lightning talk.
Yes. Alrighty then. Can you hear me, guys? Well. Yes. All right. A quick show of hands. Please raise your hand if you're using password managers, and keep those raised. Have you ever not been able to enter the password quickly and automatically using password manager? Okay, keep those hands up. Have you ever been forced to use the partial password? That's a lot of people, actually. So you should feel, I guess you feel the same as I do, which is pissed. Okay, for those of you who do not know what a partial password is, it's a way of providing a password. By design, it was supposed to be safer than a regular text field. But I guess it was the case back in the 90s where the internet was like starting up, and I don't know, people were providing like a password via plain text, and every possible machine was susceptible for keyloggers, and or maybe you were providing your password via some telephone service where your bank agent was on the call, and you provided just like third, sixth, seventh, eighth, and 10th character of your password. That, okay, back in the 90s, it could make sense. I believe, I can imagine it made sense back then. But now, give me a break. I am paying a lot of money for a subscription for 1Password, and it fails to provide its service for this particular solution for authentication. And not only in banking, but also in telecommunication, because here you can see a screen where you need to provide a customer number. That's clear, right? You just password managers work with that kind of text fields, that kind of forms. But the next step is to provide your a tax identification number via partial. I don't know. It's not password, right? So it's not even confidential type of data. It's just an NIP, which we provide on every invoice. The words that are coming, I'm filtering the words that are just coming from my brain to my mouth, and you wouldn't like to hear them because, wow. Okay, of course, that's not it. That's not the end of this flow. The next step is to provide your phone number and then one-time password via text, sent to you via text. So yeah, good job on that. Of course, there are solutions because password managers actually do provide some partial solution to partial passwords, which is this monstrosity. I don't know. I guess, of course, it is useful for in terms of accessibility, right? But also, you can look if you're using password manager. It's almost certain that you're generating each password with random string of characters, and I just cannot imagine. For this one reason, the security of this solution is actually compromised because for that banking account, I have a memorable password because I cannot stand counting which character do I have to put in this fucking field. Sorry for my French. And so I put together those slides like half an hour ago on that couch, and I was wondering how to conclude this lightning talk. And of course, I used some LLMs. And to be honest, I don't think I could come up with a better conclusion than this one, because we, as users, I guess, I can extrapolate my feelings to all users of this solution. It's horrible. For designers, I guess there is no accessibility for that. So it's disgusted. And security people are actually concerned because imagine the additional layers of stuff we need to do on under the hood to calculate which character user provided. And sometimes, if you're not looking closely, you can do that in plain text and handle the password or parts of the password as plain text. And of course, the main culprits, the banks, they're cool with it, and I don't think they should. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Do we have any questions? So here's what happened. No questions? No? Excellent. Here's what happened. A while ago, Sasha approached me and told me, do you know that Piotr wanted to do a lightning talk? And I said, yes, okay, because we discussed this. But it turns out it was the other Piotr. We have another one. So we have two lightning talks, not one. I mean, two extra lightning talks. So yes, I will welcome Piotr, another Piotr on stage. Please come up. And receive the spoon.
Thank you for the spoon. There is no spoon, they say in Matrix.
It's a spatula.
Okay. Spatula is a big spoon. That's it. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Careful with that.
Does it work? Yeah. So I just wanted to say.
No signal. No signal.
No.
Another port, perhaps.
Yeah. True.
Okay. Yeah, but worst case scenario, you can turn the laptop around and.
No. Okay.
You have to like hold it. Yep.
Yay! Okay. So I just wanted to say that today we launched finally a useful tool. It was very, very difficult to do it, but for the first time in 6 years of the company XFang, we made it. And actually, we did something that humans pay attention to. It's magnificent because as Mr. Pocztalski, Rafał, you said that it's so important are so important to understand that we're coding because we like the process. We don't want to have the effect. We want to have the process. And processes give enjoyment. I'm an educator. I was 15 years ago, I was a teacher at school. And I realized that it's so important that the process of acquiring knowledge must be pleasant. Like, for example, today, when we have a guest from Switzerland, and we can watch together what happened during the last years, and the incredible strength of our company comes from that we enjoy to work hard, and we want to have the code crafted, so we can say that craft coding is coming, right? It's something that we do for pleasure, and in education, it's also how the information receives to us. When we can see this way that Poland, if we saw on a chart from the side, it would be worse. So that's why it takes our attention, and I think that's how we work with data and with our work to maintain our sanity. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was unexpected, but yeah, no further comments on that, and I guess it's time to wrap it up. Slowly but surely, we thank everyone for coming, especially if you're here for the first time. But if you're not, we're always happy to see everyone, and let's give a round of applause to yourself for coming and sticking to the end. And just now, I invite everyone to sort of conglomerate here, and we'll have a picture a collective picture of everyone attending here. All the people. I forgot that I actually have 3 more slides.
Yes, you got it.
Okay, so just pretend I never said that we are wrapping things up. Just sit back really quickly. I will show you the
Yeah.
important part. This is about the next meetup. So,
Yes, here. Yeah.
When is the next meetup?
Yeah.
so yeah, just whatever. Of course, it matters a lot. I apologize for that. Really gonna take it up there. Everyone's waiting for me.
Yes.
Yes, finally. Surveys. Okay, now I want to see phones up and people scanning this QR code to give us feedback on how we did. Despite me forgetting to wrap up the meetup properly, but please, everyone scan this QR code, let us know how we did and what we can improve on that in the future. And yeah, next meetup, 139. We have quite a fun meetup. I tried to feed everyone, all the people. It's a bit of AI stuff, React Native as well. A bit of memory charts. Love to see that. And DevTools for DevTools. But it's going to be fun. So this is going to be June 10th. You want to say something?
You want to say something?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's actually much better because it works. So yes, June the 10th is our next meetup. And for that, you can finally, this is the QR code you wanted, or at least some of you wanted. So scan this and you can get like an early bird discount for the next Warsaw JS edition. And anyone else? Anyone want to scan it? Because I did the switcheroo for the more expensive ticket, which is the yearly ticket that grants you yearly access up until meetup 150. I think it's actually 151 for until next year. So yes, if you want to support us, makes financial planning a little bit easier for us. You can use that. You can get that as well. The what? Yeah, you can exactly. Whoa. You should work for Warsaw JS and stand up here and say that. Yes. So if your company has a learning budget, you say, oh, please give me 420 PLN for the yearly tickets to. Yeah, exactly, yearly ticket. So, and that's actually the last slide. So now you are free to go if you're interested in that, or you can just mingle around, drink some shrooms, and discuss things. Yeah, thank you. No need for clapping this time. We already did the official part, so.